Hi everybody, I'm with Drew Maniscalco of Jersey Jack Pinball. He is the Vice President of Development. Hello Drew, how are you?
Hi John.
Drew, it's coming up in about a year since we've spoke last. I think it was the New York Comic Con. We got a chance to talk about your latest pinball creation, The Wizard of Oz. How's that going along?
It's really going fantastic. The factory now is cranking out 50 games a week. That's a milestone for us. It's taken quite a while to get to this point. Everywhere the game goes, the earnings are through the roof. Out in the arcades and all the location family entertainment centers, the collectors are in love with the game. It's just really set the standard for what pinball will be from now on.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to play a few games myself, and I have to say, hands down, it's nothing like I've ever played before. I own personally 20 different pinball machines, and it is a completely different experience in definitely a positive way. So congratulations to you and Jersey Jack and all the guys there. They're a wonderful outfit. Now, a lot of people might not know that you are also a creator of arcade games. Is that right?
Yeah, I've dabbled with development at times. I've most notably, the games that I'm familiar or known for would be the SpongeBob series of arcade games. I was with Chicago Gaming, where we did Nicktoons Racing, which we turned that into a video game, and it was a hit video driver for kids. It's still on location today. We followed that up with a game called SpongeBob Jellyfishing, which was a ticket version. It was a spinner game, yep, and that was also a big hit. And then I did a game at Sega. It was just called SpongeBob, and it was a coin roll down game. And that too, was at that time it was the biggest hit that Sega had ever had for a redemption game, which has since been eclipsed by a game called Keymaster.
Fantastic. So you've got a lot of history in the coin redemption games and arcade games in general. But I think one of the most famous things that you're known for, or maybe infamous for, is a little ditty called Ninja Baseball Batman. And this is a very surreal kind of beat-em-up game. And I know it's one of the favorites of James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd. He loves this game. And it was kind of under the radar when it first came out, but it's got a huge popularity upsurge nowadays, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was back in 1991. I was working with IREM America. We had opened an office in Redmond, Washington. And, one day I was in the office early, and I used to love to read USA Today, and I grabbed the paper and I was reading the Life section, and they were Ninja Turtles 2 had just come out, and it was the #1 box office movie of the week. And they were comparing it to a previous Batman release. And it was at that point, that I said, I'm going to create my own superhero. It's like you can just do it, And so, I grabbed a pencil, and I was kind of playing around with, trying to figure out how I could take a little bit of Ninja Turtles and Batman and kind of put it together to come up with some type of title that would be memorable. But I didn't really want to use Batman, like Ninja Batman. And because of obviously Batman, I didn't want, to have any issues. And
you didn't want a phone call from Warner Brothers, maybe?
Right, exactly. I'm just a little guy. I'm just trying to make it. I don't need any problems. So while I was running around with Ninja Batman, I was thinking, well, what would my weapon be, or what would his weapon be? And it just came out: baseball, Batman. So,
of course, sure, why
really,
not?
the correct term is Ninja Baseball Batman. Although, the marquee on the game suggests otherwise, which really turned out not to be a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see. Now, when you came up, first off, let me just say, this is like an 8-year-old's dream. So you can just come up with a superhero and put some crazy zany ideas behind it, and somebody will make a game out of it. Now, you didn't actually program it, but you were the brainchild of it.
No, well, that was the start of it. So I came up with, this is my original drawing, if you will.
That's your drawing.
Yes.
Okay, I can see
Okay.
I can see potential there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you could see potential because I don't know what I see. But what I did was at that time, faxed it over to Japan. And, I expected them to just say no or not respond. The next day, I walked into the office and there was an email, we love this. Please, you know, come up with a storyboard. And then, like you said, then I felt like an 8-year-old kid hitting, I mean, it was at that point, it was a dream come true. I mean, to have a video game based on the characters that you're going to create, that was pretty cool.
Okay. Now, throughout this interview, I'm going to pepper it a little bit with some of the gameplay of your creation so that people can see what it's going on. But when you first put it together in your mind, is it as you envisioned it now, or did you have a different idea?
No, initially I wanted it to be a one-player game, and at the time in the industry, in the marketplace, 4-player games were becoming the rage. So they said to me, "Can you add 3 characters to it?" And so we did that, and we made it a 4-player game. So my original idea was for a 1-player adventure game along the lines of Super Mario, because that's the game that I love.
Sure.
I really, quite honestly, I wasn't really into like scrolling fighting. But again, I really needed to be flexible because, let's face it, these guys are looking at it from a business standpoint.
Right.
And 1-player games and adventure games just wouldn't make it in the arcade. So, I gave in, and it was a compromise. And and I must say, like you said, I'm not a programmer. And, a lot of the reviews are about the gameplay and how great the gameplay is. And I had nothing to do with that. I mean, my contribution, was the characters and the storyline, and the guys at IREM just, I think they did just a tremendous job.
And I agree with you because it's a very colorful, exciting, non-stop game, and anyone who loves beat 'em ups like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, they'll know that kind of a game. So why didn't it do so good here in the States? What happened?
Well, my theory is that when the game went out on test, it was too hard, basically. So the players were spending money to get to that first level and not being able to get past the first level. And I think they just got to a point where they were frustrated and they just walked away from the game and went and played another game. And so, we brought in 47 games, or actually 50, 47 of which actually made it to the arcades. And that was it. After a month, there were no reorders. The earnings were terrible. And Ninja Baseball Batman, the coin-op version, was destined for the coin-op graveyard.
Right. Did IREM ever have any ideas of maybe doing it at a home-based version or?
Yes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we were talking about doing it for the Super Nintendo system. And, we were pretty far along as far as, going for it. And I think, what happened was there were some prior releases that they had that didn't sell through. And I think they got cold feet and decided, let's take a break. And they did not go forward with it.
Now, it's been nearly 20 years almost since it's been released.
Yep.
Do they still have the rights to it where they can actually bring this back and resuscitate it if they wanted to?
Yes. Yeah. It's funny because I get calls all the time, emails from guys who are saying, "Hey, this would be great on the PlayStation, on the Xbox, and what can you do? Why isn't it on there?" And I really can't do anything. They own the rights for the video content, and I have all the non-video game rights. I did reach out to them and ask them, if they would be interested in licensing to me the video content or the potential to buy the video content, but at this time they're just not interested.
I find that amazing. They're going to just hold on to that, huh?
Yeah.
But you can pretty much do anything else you want with it.
Yeah, I could do T-shirts, anything non-video related I could do.
Okay. And that includes animation or movies or anything else?
Yeah. Non-video game.
Non-video game. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would assume you're constantly thinking of what you can do with this property because it's popular. It certainly is popular. And I think it's extremely popular with people like me who play MAME and emulators, because that's pretty much the only way we can get our hands on it until IREM gets around to it and puts it out for us to play on the mainstream. So
Well,
it's up to you to show us, what it's about and what we're missing.
Well, John, it is because of people like you and MAME that Ninja Baseball Batman is even, around. The fact is that without MAME, Ninja Baseball Batman would still be in the coin-op graveyard. No one would ever have heard about it. No one would ever know about the property. The fact is that with MAME, you can sit there, and as hard as that game is, you can keep playing and playing and playing. And then once you get through level 1 and you get to level 2 and you get to level 3, you just want to see what's going to come next, because it's so crazy that, and again, that's all, kudos to the IREM guys, because I could have never thought of all of the things that they put into that game.
It's a very, very surreal game, certainly.
Yeah, and to your point, people, they play it, and now they're identifying with the characters. And just the other day, I was looking at. Here's some fan art.
It's fantastic.
And it's beautiful, And this is Manos. He's in Greece, and he spent and took his time to draw this character, which I created. I find that very humbling. It's really amazing, and that's not the only one. Aside from the fact that, again, many reviews about how great the game is. Here's Nathaniel DeMarcantino, and this is made out of little beads. And he did the whole series. He did all the characters. So,
you've definitely touched something within people on this game. It's either the baseball, or it's the fighting style, or the beat 'em up, or the cartoony feel. Something is there for every player that likes those kind of games. I find myself playing it all the time because you want to see those bosses because they're so zany and insane, and you wonder what those guys at the programming department over there in Japan were doing to come up with these inspirational ideas. I don't know, but it's quite amazing to see. And you're still getting fan art after all these years.
Yeah, I just today before the interview, I went on, and there was a couple of new, pastel chalk drawings, which were just fantastic. And and then I also found this. The first sighting of a character at a Comic-Con. So,
do you know where that is? Which con that might be?
I believe this was from the Midwest Comic-Con.
Hold that up just a second. That is awesome.
Is that? Really?
That is fantastic.
So, like you say, it really has touched the nerve with a lot of people, to the point where they're taking their time out and drawing things and making things, and it's really very cool.
Very cool indeed. Now, obviously the theme is baseball, specifically American baseball. Did that have any play in Japan differently? The fact that you modeled them off of these American players, the names obviously are modeled after certain baseball heroes and legends.
Yeah, and I used baseball, the theme of baseball, because I knew the Japanese are crazy about baseball.
Right.
So I had a feeling that if I were to do a superhero that was in this baseball world, that would give me an edge when it came time for them to look at this crazy drawing that I sent. and they you know, and I think that's part of the reason why they responded to it, you know. And then in the game itself, you know, when I started looking at baseball, and think about this, you know, you're working up your enemy list, and you have double header. He's a villain with two heads.
Makes sense.
You know, sacrifice fly. Okay. You know,
Screwball.
screwball, spitball, foul ball. I mean, you know, you can go on and on. And that's what we did. As a matter of fact, when IREM said to go forward and develop a storyline, I was able to hire Gordon Morrison, who was a famed pinball artist who did all of the Gottlieb back glasses in the 70s. And Gordon and I worked on a list of characters, and you know, here's some of Gordon's work. You can see here double header.
Yep.
There's a character with two heads, and then there's spitball, you know, and then there's mitt muncher, you know, and then this is the original Ninja Batman. After my line drawing,
they should have stuck with yours, Drew. They should have stuck with yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, your detail was so much better. They should have stuck with your original. So, but really, you did come up with a lot of the concepts, if not all of them, on the.
Yeah, the stages, a lot of them. You know, but again, you know, when you're developing and you have these people, you want them to be interested, and so they really had. You know, I wasn't going to say no, don't do this, don't do that. I was thrilled that they were even doing anything. So, you know, anything they did was fine with me. They know how to program games, and I just let them run wild, and they did.
So do you have any idea how they feel about having it still being played on emulators? Do they have any feeling about it either way?
You know, I really don't have any contact with anyone at IREM. That's everyone that I knew is no longer there.
Gotcha. Now, I got to say, you know, I'm a MAME guy. My site's called Mamecade for a reason. And I'm always asked by two camps, you know, MAME, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Playing emulators versus playing the original. You know, and the way I come down on it is, of course, if I had the original, I'd play the original without a doubt. But there are some games that you just can't, and this being one of them. And if it weren't for MAME, we would never be able to play this game. It would have gone the way of the dodo. So for all those naysayers on MAME, and look at it this way, this game is around and still has legs, and hopefully in the future, because of the attention it gets on MAME and other things that you are putting out for it, it'll actually come back into maybe home consoles or maybe portable consoles. I would love to see it on some kind of handheld. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. I mean, you know, we are creating awareness. To your point, you know, like maybe Namco and Sega, they're not big fans of MAME. But for me, you know, we wouldn't be talking right now if it weren't for MAME. So, you know, MAME is fine with me.
Right, right. Okay. So now let's discuss, what are your plans with the idea of Ninja Baseball Batman going forward, now that we know where we're at and what position you're in with it?
Well, you know, John, I always wanted, you know, or always thought that the character could be more than the video game. And, you know, I mean, I'm thinking cartoons and comic books and all of this. And you know, it just so happens that one of my coworkers is a comic book writer. And one day, one of the guys came to me and said, "Hey, did you see this comic? It's called KO Punchman and Sir, and it's on Tapastic." And sure enough, I went to the site and checked it out, and I thought it was very clever, and the artwork was fantastic. And so, you know, I decided to, you know, go in the back, and I ran into Sal, and Sal is the writer of this KO Punchman. And I said to Sal, "Hey, can you do me a favor? You know, can you check out my website? Tell me what you think, and if there's the possibility of doing a comic book, you know, I'd love to do it." And so the next day, Sal came in, and he was all fired up, and he said, "Drew, I'm in." So, that's how it started. So, the great thing, Sal, is he's very passionate about being a writer. He loves the comic book industry. He lives and breathes it. That's really not my world. And so I couldn't have picked, a better partner to work with on a project, like Ninja Baseball Batman.
So now Sal will be the writer on this.
Yes.
Is it a collaborative effort? Or,
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Sal, again, as with IREM, I created the characters. There's a storyline, but I want Sal to do what he does. He's a writer, and he knows. We discussed. We want our, Ninja Baseball Batman is He's a wholesome guy, and who experienced being, cut by his team, and he goes to Japan, and while he's there to play baseball, he learns martial arts. And then, he comes back and, and now he's a crime fighter as he's looking for his next or new team. So without giving too much away, Sal, he'll come to me and he'll say to me, what do you think about this? But for the most part, and I love everything he does. So I just basically said to him, just send me a page at a time, and then we go over it. And so far, everything has just been fantastic. He really gets it. And, we were talking about not just Ninja Baseball Batman, but other properties. And, when or you have a feeling that something's right, they kind of like write themselves. And we both have the same feeling about this.
So you're on the same page. Well, we're going to actually put a link to Sal Brucigliari's work on the bottom of this so that people can take a look at it and see what's going on with him, because he is very talented. I had the pleasure of speaking to him, and will do so later on in the future as well, because I want to get into his mind. He's a very talented and go-getter.
Yeah, Sal just signed a deal with Alterna Comics for another one of his properties called Cosmic. So you might want to look for that as well.
Okay, so you're the brains. He's the writer. Who's drawing it?
Monique Blaze, and she is just fantastic. Her colors, the shading. I just love the way I love her style. And when Sal came to me and he had a list of artists, I love what she also writes or draws KO Punch Man, and like I said, when I saw those graphics and her style, again, she's an up and coming person. So, between the three of us, I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to work with.
And they're all actually trained in what they're doing. These aren't just fly by night. I know Monique has some videos on YouTube talking about where she came from, what she's doing. She's incredibly talented. Sal, of course, in his background. So it seems like you have a fantastic team that's really energized, which gets me excited because I really want to see what you're going to do with it. Now, this is going to be a comic book.
Yeah, digital comic, yep.
Digital comic book. And are you going to distribute it through major sources, through your own sources? How would you be doing that? How would I get my hands on one?
Well, we have a couple of opportunities that we're currently looking at this moment. We haven't really decided, what direction we're going to go. The great thing is on the other side, the cartoon side, being that I did a lot of licensing with Nickelodeon, I have a couple of contacts at Nickelodeon, which when we put everything together, we're going to make a trip to New York and see a couple of people, and then, we'll figure out, what our direction is going to be.
It's very interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
The possibilities are just endless. And then so you get out this comic, who knows, a deal with Nickelodeon, something going on there, animated, and then there's those folks in IREM saying, hey, we got this property we're sitting on, let's get it out there and talk to Drew and see if we can rekindle it. Is that the goal?
Like I said, every once in a while I'll send an email out to the one person that I've had communication with at IREM, and I'll say to them, is now the time? Can I do something? Can you do something? Are you interested? And and John, I think it's just a matter of time. Maybe if we get some things going. Maybe it will force them into action. I mean, I'm not the only one who's been reaching out to them. I receive phone calls and emails of players who send emails to IREM, on their website, and they just send them out and hope that they get a response. And then when they don't, they'll call me or email me, and then, again, I'll reach out, and it's always the same answer at this point, not at this time.
Well, I'm going to put this on your lap. Do you recommend, or at this point not recommend, fans of the game that are watching this maybe, or will watch it in the future, to reach out to IREM and say, hey, we love this game. I remember this game. I want to play this game at home. Is now the time, or should you conglomerate your forces first?
Yeah, I think it might be a better push once we have everything going.
Okay.
So, yeah, because I think we'll have a little bit more of a story to tell than just a couple of people. I know somebody started a Facebook petition.
Yep.
And, so I think it would be better if, we said, hey, here's the comic book, and actually had something that they could see and look at on screen, and then maybe something will click. Maybe they get new management. So I think it's just I think if we just hold off, it might be a little bit better for us.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to getting my eyeballs on the first issue. That sounds like a great idea. Sal is fantastic. Monique seems to be a very talented young woman. She's very bubbly and energetic. I loved watching her on YouTube. So you've got your plate full. You've got a lot of stuff going on right now between what you do on your daily work and what you're planning on doing. And it's 20-year anniversary is coming on for this this momentous game. And I think September it was released, or is that what?
Yeah, it was September. And the funny thing is that if and I must say, for anybody who hasn't seen James Rolfe's review, I mean, because James, let me just say this. My website really was kind of put up at one point just to be an archive, if you will. And my hits were, maybe 200 a month, but like I said, it was something that I was involved with, and I just wanted it to live on. And the next thing I know, James does his review, and all of a sudden, my service provider is sending me texts and emails, and that I'm going over my bandwidth. All of a sudden, it went from 500, 700, 800 hits to 20,000. So it was, so I owe a lot to James. I mean, he really killed it on that interview or on the review. It was really great, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, he could make or break a game, depending on.
Oh man, let me tell you, he was just, he was really. I can't thank him enough.
Right. Well, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to speak to me. I wish you all the best on the project, and you and your team, sounds like you're on the right path, Drew.
Well, John, I appreciate the fact that you have an interest, and you will get one of the first copies of Ninja Baseball Batman the comic.
Thank you, and thank you guys for all watching Ninja Baseball Batman. Go to MAME, look it up, see if you can find it. Find some videos on YouTube. Support Drew and his project. Get lined up for it. It's the comic book coming out how soon, Drew?
Sal thinks we're going to be available sometime in September.
Right on time for the 20th anniversary, so we're all set.
That's right.
Drew,
Yep.
Thanks a lot, my friend. I hope to speak to you again soon.
John, thank you very much. Bye-bye.